aquel hombre se encontraba.
Welcome to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Again, it is me, Sal, Mr. Boxing Guru. Again, thank you so much to each and every one of you guys. You know what? Let me just get this out of the way. Every week I kind of say this, and of course I mean it. But I really want to thank each and every one of you guys that listen. Whether it's I know we're at least from what the numbers say on iTunes. It's huge. I guess everybody has an iPhone. Spotify, it's big. YouTube, not so much. But nonetheless, if you guys take the time to like and whatnot, and just enjoy my weekly rants that happen, for the most part, you guys hear them on a Thursday morning. Thank you so much. It really means the world that there's other crazy folks out there that actually listen to me. So thank you so much for listening from the bottom of my heart. Again, that music that you guys heard was from Los Anaya. Big shout out to Los Anaya. Again, if you guys are listening to us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. If you guys are listening on iTunes, make sure you guys, what do you call it? Make sure you guys comment, rate, whatever you guys want to. YouTube, Spotify, again, same thing. Just make sure you guys sit back and enjoy. And of course, on Spreaker.com, you can do it as well. Just search for Mr. Boxing Guru Podcast. But guys, let's get to it. Big fight week. A lot of quick but notable fights. So let's start first with the big fight of the weekend, which was Deontay Wilder starching the walking meme, which is Dominic Brazil, in one round from New York, of course, on Showtime. Interesting fight, because I think we all know what eventually was going to happen. I myself said under 6 rounds, Dominic would get beat up. It'll be too much. He was going to be strong enough to survive a couple of the earlier rounds. And just because of that, again, maybe we buy in too much to this hatred that these fighters have for one another. But I thought that Brazil was going to just work a little more than he actually did. I thought that him maybe knowing that he needed a change in training, he went and left his gym here in Southern California and his trainer Manny Robles and seeked a different trainer, Virgil Hunter, which now it appears that everybody goes to Virgil to die because you really didn't do much or show any type of improvement, and not even improvement, just at least sustain what he knew. He looked worse than what he ever did with Manny Robles and Estrellita. But he went and just, it almost seemed like threw a lazy jab, hook. I don't know what it was, and then just got countered. Se acabó. And that was the end of Brazil. First round knockout for the Wilder, the guy that wants the bodies. I don't know, man. I don't know. It was just, I thought he would give us more. So that's why I think, look, again, we all knew what was going to happen. It was a matter of when it was going to happen. I don't think many people predicted that first round knockout. They showed, for the most part, we showed Brazil a bit more respect. I think and rightfully so, he deserved it. But to get knocked out again in the first round, knock it out, Jesus Christ. Again, kudos to Wilder. You know, he deserves all the accolades in the world because he fought that type of opponent the way you're supposed to fight that type of opponent. And he got rid of him, but come on, Brazil, we expect a little more from you. I mean, Brazil went about and shut down his social media accounts, and you know, I think some of his people even blocked me for, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I did like a whole series of memes of how Brazil was laying on the floor and whatnot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, I know it was jokes that were a bit off, a bad taste, but again, it was all in good fun. But the fact of the matter is that Deontay Wilder really showed us that he's really the real deal. Now, and it makes you question, or I guess the questions that we have after a fight like this is, again, is he the real deal? I think we could all agree that he is the heavyweight champion. He is the United States recognized champion of the world, heavyweight champion of the world. That's a hell of a moniker. That's something that, again, I think he's earned by this point. The questions I guess we might have is, how does he look like versus AJ, versus Anthony Joshua, which is another perfect specimen of a heavyweight champion from across the pond. And what do we think about his comments about him wanting a body? It almost seems like every time he's trying to push a fight, he drops something like that. Again, I'm not really blaming the fighter, because, again, a fighter is supposed to have the killer instinct, is supposed to want. I know that a lot of fighters don't speak it, but they want that knockout. They want that brutal blood. I mean, you're a fighter for a reason. This is the type of shit you want. But the fact that Mauricio Suleiman always finds his way into the stage and tries to be the moral compass and imposes his thoughts into what we know is the brutal sport, of the poor man's sport, the sport of the fighter that doesn't think before he speaks. This is what these fighters do. They go, they fight. You guys put a microphone in their face to try to bump up the ratings, bump these sanctioning fees, and now you're trying to be, again, the I guess, politically correct Mauricio. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, look, every time something about the WBC pops up, it almost seems like, oh, I'm the hater here. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, when it comes to stuff like this, the WBC just needs to mind their own fucking business. If you guys don't like it, back the fuck up, keep your little belts, and mind your own goddamn business. But yeah, Mauricio, I think everybody in boxing would be so much better without the WBC and friends getting involved, and what really doesn't matter. Just provide your belt. You're not the voice of reason. You're the voice of annoyance, and then just sit the fuck down and collect your fees and go on about your business. But speaking from going from annoyance to Inoue stops Rodriguez in 2 rounds. Again, a weekend of short fights, but just brutal freaking knockouts, man. Rodriguez, everybody knows the game fighter. Look, I think Inoue, again, that's another thing. I think he put everybody's pound for pound list unnoticed. He's starting to get hate from those same fans that hated a guy like Golovkin when he was coming in and starching everybody. Again, that's why, again, he reminds me a lot, and I'm saying this, he reminds me a lot of Golovkin. I think again, the way he's disposing of his opponents, the only difference is these fighters that Inoue is fighting is they actually have a name for them, so they're actually legitimately ranked fighters, and he's taking care of them like a guy that's just coming up and he's a 2-0 fighter and just getting fed the bum of the month, but he's actually starching these guys. They're legit champions, getting rid of them. Rodriguez was no slouch. He took care of them in 2 rounds, guys, in 2 fucking rounds. That's impressive. That's as impressive as it possibly can get. Now, again, like I said, he definitely reminds me of Golovkin. He has scary power. He sets things up very nicely. I think it's time that us in the U.S. start paying a little more attention, including myself, because I don't think I've paid as much attention to these weight classes as much as I should. 2, again, I started looking at other fights. Again, every fight seems like he's fighting, again, the developmental fights, but he's not. He's fighting legitimate champions. He's already gone up in weight. This is his 3rd division, or he skipped 1 in between? I'm not sure, but again, the way he's getting rid of these guys is scary, and the scariest of all is that now he's going to end up fighting a Nonito Donaire, a guy that I think we all like, enjoy it, but we all know he's past his prime, but somehow he made it to the finals of the World Boxing Series, or whatever it's called. But now that's his opponent. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to discredit him once he beats Nonito. I think more than anything is how is he going to beat Nonito? Is he going to beat him as bad as the other opponents? Is he going to beat him as bad as he's beaten the rest of his opponents, where it's a 2-3 round fight? Is it going to last? Is it a loss if he goes out and wins a decision, and you know, fight goes to the scorecards? I don't know. These are the type of questions that I have. But I think him beating a guy, a name, established name, like Nonito Donaire is really gonna move the needle on this kid. But I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I'm becoming such an INOUE groupie that don't be surprised if I pop out with a INOUE shirt, Mexicans for INOUE, something like that. But don't be surprised if I come up with a weird shirt, guys. That's for sure. And like I said, this guy ends up being in everybody's pound for pound list. All of a sudden, he's number one, and rightfully so. But speaking of these pound for pound lists, look, I think ESPN just came out with their own. I think, and everybody started popping up with theirs, whether they were parody. Pound for pound list, like I think some guy on Twitter, Kikin, I think his name is, and he came out with his, and it was Chavez Jr. was there, Angulo, and I think even Ellie Setback was there for a short instance. But I think it's only fair to explain a pound for pound list, because a lot of times you see these lists and you're like, what the fuck? How did you come up with this guy over this guy if this guy already beat this guy and whatnot? So right at the top of my head, I'm gonna just say, what's my pound for pound, guys? In my opinion, INOUE is the number one guy right now in the world. And the reason why I'm saying pound for pound is, again, he's a legit fighter. He's gone up, he's done multiple weight classes, and the way he's disposing these legitimate fighters, there's no other fighter in the sport that is doing what he's doing. The way he's doing it is other fighters are beating other fighters, but the way INOUE is beating these fighters is very impressive. I don't think, again, guys like Crawford, Loma that are doing something similar but not as impressive. This kid INOUE is really hurting his opponents, and that, in my opinion, is what makes you a pound for pound fighter. Is how would you do regardless of weight class versus another fighter if you carry your power, if you carry your current status. And that in my opinion is it's how you judge a pound for pound list. So in my opinion, again, INOUE is at the top of the game. He's again my number one guy. After that, I mean, look, I think if you listen to my podcast, I've never been the biggest Loma fan, but I respect what he does as a fighter. The way that he's been able to take care of his opponents, even in weight class that we obviously know he does not belong. The biggest I would say Loma would be like, what, a 126er? And the way he's been able to evolve as a fighter too. Look, Loma came in and then one of his first fights was versus City Salido. He came out short. Great, it happens. Nothing wrong with losing a fight. But the fact, and I know we troll a lot and we say, Salido's, Loma's dad and blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. But the fact of the matter, he was able to evolve. He was able to grow as a fighter. And he's able to, I mean, if you go from fighting Salido, then a couple of fights later, you fight a guy like Gary Russell Jr. that just fought this weekend, and you pretty much make Gary Russell Jr. your bitch. That's an impressive fighter. That's very impressive. And that's why a guy like Loma is so impressive, because now he's fighting at 135 pounds, and he's just beating the shit out of the guys that are ranked at the very top of that division. That's impressive. Crawford, again, the same thing. Crawford's a guy that came from 135 pounds, went and cleaned out the 140 division, became the undisputed fighter at 140-pound division. Again, it's not as impressive as INOUE, but it's very impressive of how he's carried himself, how he's been able to carry his power from 135 now to 147. He went and fought the guy that's supposed to be Manny Pacquiao, again, and pretty much made whatever the hell the Australian guy's name was, his bitch. He went and fought Benavides. He did what he wanted with Benavides. With Khan, again, he wasn't able to do exactly what he wanted because, from my understanding, it was some sort of injuries, whatever it was. Again, but at the end of the day, he got the stoppage. He did. He outboxed, and Khan had never been outboxed, and that's the difference. It's not so much beating the shit out of somebody, but how are you beating him? Khan had never been outboxed. Khan got outboxed by a guy like Crawford. that is very impressive. That's why I have Crawford in my number 3. And again, just to go back, Inoue in number 1, Loma number 2, Crawford number 3, and of course number 4 is Usyk. Again, it's the way you deal with your division and the fighters that you fight with. It's not so much beating them, it's how you beat them. A guy like Usyk was part of that WBSS cruiserweight tournament. Now in the tournament, he was able to beat, again, the top guys in his division, and not only beat them, but just like, again, erase them, just outpoint them, outschool them, just made what he wanted with his opponents. And that, in my opinion, it's again a pound for pound fighter. And before you guys come attack me about no, Canelo should be number 1, let me tell you why Canelo's not. And again, I'm a big fan of Canelo. I really like Canelo. But you could put a question mark through a lot of Canelo's fights. On his wins, particularly. So let's go back. Let's think about it. A lot of folks, not myself, but a lot of folks made an argument over Canelo losing to Trout. Over Canelo said he might have lost to Lara. The first fight, everybody screamed robbery with the first Golovkin fight. The second Golovkin fight, again, same thing. A lot of people were okay with the draw. A lot of people thought Golovkin won. Again, he's won those fights. He squeaked by those fights as well. He hasn't been dominant versus those guys. The only fighter or fight that you could say, Canelo, you won the fight. And even then, some fighters or some people have given the fight to the other fighter, was the fight versus Daniel Jacobs. That you cannot take that, at least in my opinion. I think I had Canelo by like 3 rounds, if I'm not mistaken, 3-4 rounds. So you can't not give Canelo that win without any type of controversy or people saying this happened or that happened. That was a legitimate heavyweight. Anything else? I mean, you could say Perrangulo was a dead man. Amir Khan. Who else? Rocky Fielding at 168. Again, it's Rocky Fielding, a guy that was just smiling and getting hit to the liver and just smiling on the way down. There's all these question marks, I guess you could say, for Canelo. Again, I love Canelo. I think he's a hell of a star. But if you're going to put him in a pound for pound list, which again I do not mind. I think there's huge things to be said if you're a guy in a pound for pound list. That's why I got him at number 5. And as far as having Canelo number 5, again, Inoue at number 1, Loma number 2, Crawford number 3, Usyk at number 4, and Canelo number 5. I think he has a lot of guys that have just done that much more and made it look almost that much easier than him. And right behind him, I think, and that's another of these pound for pound lists that I've seen. I seen where Canelo's and number 1 and Golovkin's like at 6, 7, 8 or something. I think those two, Canelo and Golovkin, belong right next to each other because, again, their fights are very, very close. Again, I agree Canelo won the second round. The first fight, I thought Golovkin had won. But the fact of the matter is that they're almost equal to each other. Again, if Canelo did lose, which I agree, he I'm sorry, not lost, but he won the second fight. So I think Golovkin belongs, or that number 6 spot belongs to Golovkin. And of course, followed by Gallito Estrada and number 7. And Anthony Joshua after that, Errol Spence. And I think it's fair to say Mikey Garcia and just irking his way into the number 10 spot. I think that's fair. Of course, let me know, criticize it if you guys want, but that's at least the way I have it. There's got to be a reasoning for that. Man, is Mikey Garcia number 10. The only reason why he's at number 10 is because, yes, he was getting rid of guys at 135 and even 140 when he got rid of the Broners and who else did he fight at 140? No idea. And then at 47, it was just like, honestly, it was a joke. That's the worst thing I've ever seen Mikey Garcia do. But again, and even Spence, who has Spence fought, I think he's that type of talent as well that belongs up there. Again, not in a very, not in the top 5 of the pound for pounders, but definitely belongs in there. And that's, I guess, your reasoning for each and every one of these guys to be in this pound for pounders. But enough of this. Enough about this pound for pound. You can only talk so much about pound for pound boxing. Let's talk about what we have for for this coming up week. Short fight. Not a lot of fights going on, but the one that really caught my eye, and of course, because I really want to see this kid win, is Ito versus Jamel Herring. Jamel Herring, of course, as you guys know, I've been working with him with Adidas Boxing. I want to see him do good. Look, is it a easy fight? Are we going to see Jamel Herring become a champ? I hope so. Is he in tough? Fuck yeah, he's in tough. Ito is no joke. He's a hell of a fighter. Of course, if I'm a prediction, I'm gonna say Herring's gonna beat him to the punch most of the fight, and Herring's gonna become a champion. Now, can he really do it? Look, I think Top Rank is one of those companies that they know exactly what they're doing. They know who's gonna win before the starting of the first bell. Not because they buy judges or any of the crazy controversies that a lot of people come up with, but they know their fighters very well. I don't think they want or they mean any harm to a guy like Herring. I think they really like having Herring in the company. So I think they know that Herring has enough to beat a guy like Ito. It's just to the naked eye. To me, Ito's just is a tough son of a bitch. So I don't know, guys. I don't know this week. But hopefully Herring does come with the 12-round decision and he becomes a champ. It'll be great to have a Adidas champ now, and I'll be more than happy to continue to help him out with his career with Adidas boxing. All right, guys. This week was nice and short. I wanted to do a podcast for you guys. I'm gonna take a small break. I'll be back in not next Thursday, but the following Thursday. Let me just take a week off, and we'll get it again soon. So make sure you continue to listen to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Again, thank you so much. Y vámonos recios, señores.
Acordada de aquellos se sorprendieron. Si quieren pueden matarme, que yo ya vengué a mis viejos. Dicen que lo fusilaron, otros que se fue muy lejos.